every relationship with a woman is actually three separate relationships where you have three identities to her and she has three identities to you. And I've discovered these identities by looking at my relationships and the relationships of friends, of students, and clients, and figuring out, why do problems arise and why do some parts of relationships work well while others fail, right? Like, I, for instance, never have struggled with the sexual element of a relationship. That's always been the strength of my relationships, right? However, the parts where I failed in the past were lots of jealousy and fighting, um, and us just slowly resenting each other, right? But even when we had that problem, we didn't have an attraction issue, right? Whereas other people may have done really well with the um, friend aspect of a relationship or the partner aspect of a relationship, but then they struggle with the attraction aspect, right? So when you are having problems or when you're, trying to have a better relationship, a good, easy way to think about how to problem solve is to think, okay, which relationship of my relationship is the problem in? Because you're going to have different solutions based on where it is, right? If you're dealing with attraction problems, then, learning to build more trust and comfort and feelings of camaraderie and like you're in this together, that's not really going to do much for the attraction part because it's just not that part. Like, it's not that being friends and trustworthy and blah, blah, blah isn't good. It is. If you don't have that, your relationship is going to fail. But it isn't, it's kind of like red is red, blue is blue, and yellow is yellow, right? They're just different fucking colors. Obviously, you need more than one color to have a painting. You can't just have a fucking wall of red, right? But blue is not going to help with red. Now, I mean that like in terms of the biggest gains you can have. However, these different relationships are intertwined, right? So they're different, but they're not completely disconnected either. And this is an important nuance for you to understand, right? Like, becoming more trustworthy is probably not going to like primally turn her on, right? So if you're having, bedroom issues in the relationship, usually building trust is not going to be the issue. However, there are some contextual circumstances where her trusting you more, feeling more connected to you is going to cause less inhibitions about the sexual stuff. Like, okay, let's say you guys don't have I'll just think of past relationships. We didn't have lust problems. Like, we found each other incredibly attractive and we love to fuck, right? But when you're fighting, you don't want to fuck, right? Outside of like, I don't know, makeup sex or something like that, right? But while you're in the midst of being angry with each other, you don't want to fuck. So it's not an arousal problem, but your problem with one of the other two relationship categories is keeping you from wanting to fuck, obviously, right? Because you're mad at each other. So if you spend less time mad at each other and more time happy with each other, then the lust third of the relationship can just like move freely. Does that make sense? Right? So you're not directly making lust higher. So if you have a relationship where she really trusts you and cares about you, but she's not that attracted to you, this third element is free, but it's just not big. Okay? So we need to understand the relationship these three different relationships have, and then how to actually boost where you're having trouble, right? So the best way that, here I have it written down, the best way to think of like these partnerships, because they're not just you are this to her, it's also she is this to you, and you have to understand both sides and what those and how those relationships intermingle, right? So the best way to think about it is that for the leadership aspect of a relationship, so there's the leadership aspect, or like partner aspect, there's the lover aspect, and then there's the friend aspect. Okay. So for like the leadership, like making the daily decisions of how the business runs, basically the relationship runs, you need to be the CEO or the owner, and then she's a high level executive. That's the best way to think about it, right? She'll take, and these are just based on like my natural understanding or my learned understanding, not natural, learned understanding of how women prefer to be in relationships and how men prefer to be, and how these work together in like 98% of circumstances, right? Now, some people consider these to be whatever, like traditional or toxic, or, you know, they're traditional gender roles and blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested in getting in that conversation in this video. So if you're one of those people who wants to like start getting into the weeds on that, that's not the subject of this video. And I'm tired of talking about that shit. It's so boring. It's like preschool ideology to me. I think that if you just have common sense, these things are pretty self-evident. So yeah, I got tired of that shit years ago. So if you're not a fan of these types of dynamics, well, sorry, you know, go find a different person to teach you. So, women generally want to follow and men generally want to lead. Want to. And because they want to, they end up being better at it, right? And when you disrupt this harmony, you start to have problems. So, however, the owner is not going around and micromanaging everything, because the owner makes big decisions that make big money, right? So like an owner, he's not micromanaging like, okay, dishes, this, that. It doesn't mean he can't do these things, right? So I want to understand. I'm going to use some metaphors here, but they're not like, I'm not like fucking a Nazi about it. Like, you can do the dishes, you can like help around the house, and these things can actually help with the relationship, okay? But I mean, your mentality is that you're going to, this is like involving like the man being the breadwinner. Like that's this half or this third of the like relationship. Usually when the man is the higher earner and the breadwinner, this is one aspect of like the leadership aspect. He's going to feel like the leader because he's making the big financial decisions, meaning making the money, but also deciding how to spend it, right? Whereas the girl is, she can be successful in her own right, but for the most part, if a girl's making more money than the guy, there's some exceptions here and they can work. And I know someone who actually makes this work. But you got to have a good game, and you got to have the other aspects of the relationship working really well. And to be honest, he kind of actually still ends up being the like CEO in the dynamic, even though she's making money because of her status. Essentially, they're celebrities. Okay, I'm not going to give any too much detail more than that, but he kind of makes it work, even though he's technically like the lower earner. He's actually, because of his masculine energy and ability to negotiate and manage, he's actually making her a lot more money, which kind of means he's making the money. It's pretty interesting dynamic. It's one of those few niche exceptions that you kind of make it work. But so the man in the leadership positions of like making money, making big decisions of like where we're going to move, she gives her input. She's an executive, right? Obviously she has a say. This is a CEO owner executive relationship. This is not slave master relationship. Okay. She's giving her input. She's giving her expertise. She's giving her thoughts. I ask my wife questions all the time. Like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? But I'm always the one pulling the trigger. And it feels good. It feels right. She likes the dynamic. I like the dynamic. Right? So, for instance, I don't fucking like cleaning. I hired a cleaner. Right? She'll do some odds and ends here, like, you know, cleaning the dishes or, you know, vacuuming or cleaning this or cleaning that. And as a woman, she just naturally gravitates towards these things. But I just don't like fucking cleaning. So I hired a cleaner. And this does somewhat kind of feel like boss-like. Like, okay, like, you could interpret it as lazy, but really it's just like, hey, I have the money. I can just take care of this. And it saves me time, which ends up making me more money. It ends, you know, I enjoy life better. So when I'm talking about the leadership aspect of a relationship, I'm talking about this, right? But especially just like being successful, right? Now, it's okay if you're not currently successful, right? And the younger you are, the less important this aspect of the relationship is. Okay. So like if you're like in your early 20s, the leadership CEO business aspect of a relationship actually is not quite like a third, right? It becomes like a very minimal third. And then the lover aspect and the friend aspect are like the big 50-50s pretty much, right? But because it's just understandable that you guys are young and you're growing things, right? But still, if you're like the young, ambitious guy who's slowly making moves, of course, it's going to take 10, 15 years for these to actually like come to fruition. All it matters is that there's potential in the future, right? But of course, a hot fucking, stunning 19-year-old, if she meets a successful 30, 35-year-old, he's probably going to give more than, a young, spry 23-year-old. As long as the young guy isn't just blowing the older guy out of the water when it comes to like being, more hot and sexy and better in bed, right? So these other aspects are important, right? And so when you're looking at like why women make decisions to date certain guys or stay with certain guys and not leave, they're considering all three. But usually when you're younger, the leadership aspect of a relationship is less important. But when you're older, when you're in your 30s, it becomes increasingly more important. And then 40s and 50s, I mean, God, it's like super, super important, right? It's expected that you have these things under control. So if you're having issues in this realm, you have to make decisions that fix things in this realm. You can't fuck your way out of these problems, right? You can't fuck your way out of money problems. I mean, I guess technically you could, right? But like, you know what I mean? So you have to, these are like behavioral traits you have to change in yourself, right? Like you need to start being more disciplined with money, or you need to start being more ambitious so you can make more money and afford the spending that you have, right? So you have to start making changes. You have to like quit your job and take a risk on your own business, or demand, negotiate a raise, or, start investing, right? So when I'm talking about leadership things, I'm talking about money. I'm talking about like life decisions of like where to live, what to do with your children, how to take care of, how she sees you treating your parents, treating her parents, taking care of them. This is what I mean, right? It's decisions, business decisions. This is this part of the relationship. The other two parts of the relationship are obviously the sexual one and then the friend aspect, right? So the friend aspect is interesting. It's very different from the leadership position because it's just about spending time with someone. That's all it is, right? It's not about making decisions. It's about just like, do you like spending time with this person? Do you like being in their fucking presence and talking to them? In this aspect, a relationship is 50-50. It's so interesting. Like people come to, they have ideas like, oh, relationships need to be 50-50. But they're just not smart enough to see the big picture because they're not wrong. But they're just not seeing that it's only a third of the relationship. So when women say in their like dreams and ideas, like I want relationships to be 50-50, they're applying the friend aspect of their ideal relationship and then applying it to the romantic aspect of a relationship where it doesn't fit, as you'll see in a moment. And it definitely doesn't fit in the leadership position where the man should be the CEO and the woman should be a high-level executive, where it's like 80% power and 20% power, or like, I don't know, 70-30, whatever, right? The man's in charge, but the woman obviously still has to say. The friend aspect is 50-50. Like, we're just people who hang out together, right? And in that respect, that's just a question of like, are you entertaining to be around? Are you funny? Are you fun to talk to? Are you interesting to talk to? Do you give good advice? Are you a good listener? Are you empathetic? Are you caring? Do you actually spend time with her? Like the friend aspect is like the, like, do we cuddle? Are we affectionate? Will you go out of your way to do nice things for me and pick me up flowers, or, clean the dishes even though you fucking hate it because you can see that I'm stressed and tired from this and that and this. That's the friend aspect of a relationship. Right? And some people are really good at it and they suck at the other parts of a relationship, or some people are good at the other parts and horrible at this, or some people just fucking suck at all of them. Right? But friend aspects of the relationship need friend answers. So one thing that's huge in relationships that guys often forget is that, and this is, everyone sucks at it, as I've seen, and I have to catch myself. When you're spending time with her, and I should make a video on this, like a separate video. When you're spending time with her, you need to give her 100% of your focus, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't lay in bed and both look at your phone together and doom scroll together. What I'm saying is, like, if you're sitting on the couch and you say, hey, baby, how are you? And I just wanted to come, spend time with you. You sit there with her for 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes and you just talk to her. Just talk. 100% attention. Not on your phone, not on your laptop, not thinking about doohickey and jizzle jazzle. Like, you're just talking to her. And you're looking her in the eyes and she feels your presence. Women are dying for this shit from men. Like, absolutely craving it. And what I mentioned earlier about, like, the interference between these relationships, you're going to kill the romantic side of a relationship if you don't fix this. Not because it lowers or increases attraction. It allows the attraction to be free, whether it's low, medium, or high, right? Because if she doesn't like that you're affectionate, or, she doesn't feel seen, she doesn't feel heard, she doesn't feel, comfortable around you. Like, she just feels like, okay, you just, like, work all day and you come home and fuck me and then that's it. Like, it's great that you're providing for the relationship or the marriage. It's great that, you fuck me really good. I love your dick, blah, blah, blah. But I don't feel like a friend. It's going to impact the relationship. So you have the other two parts of the relationship going good, but not this. It's going to impact it in the sense that it's going to block it. You understand the distinction there? So, that's friendship. 50-50. CEO, executive, 70-30, whatever. Romantic, 90-10. You're the boss. You're the big dick G. Like, when you get in bed, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't sometimes be romantic and sweet. Like, a lot of times you do want to start sex off really, like, romantic and sweet. And then you finish just, like, blasting that fucking pussy. And she is like a fucking little whore, just getting, like, totally fucking twisted and fucking spit on and treated like a fucking dog, right? And there's a funny skit from a comedian. What's her name? Ali Wong. It's great. And she gets away with saying it to most people because she's a woman. But she's like, basically, just look up, like, Ali Wong, like, sex or something like that. I think, let me double check to make sure I'm Ali Wong sex. Ali Wong, women need to be in the right mood and sometimes they like it rough in the bedrooms. Yeah. And she's like, we kind of like things to start out kind of romantic-y and blah, blah, blah. And then she uses a very special word to describe how the sex feels at a certain point later when things are getting rough. And you can go ahead and guess what that is. But it's a great illustration. And all the women are laughing in the crowd. So, because it's true, right? So in the bedroom, you're King Kong. Ding dong ching chong, right? You are giving it to her, right? You are the director, you are the master, and she is the slave. Obviously, you're aware of her pleasure, right? That's why it's like 10%, 90-10. Like, you're not some fucking psychopath, okay? But some retard is going to watch this video and go, this guy's saying, you just, like, totally control her. And it's like, bro. Room temperature IQ. Yeah, obviously, like, you're paying attention to her. But, like, the best sex is when you are just, like, totally dominating her for your own pleasure. Because that's how that's how she feels the most attractive. Because she's like, this man is just, like, so hungry with lust for me that he's just, like, totally just doing it, grabbing me, putting my head into the pillow, and just, like, fucking ramming into me. And he's just, like, snarling and growling and huffing and puffing. Like, women like this shit. And if some faggot says that they don't, that's just proof that he's a faggot because he doesn't know how to fuck right. Okay? And every dude who I've told to fuck like this is like, you changed my sex life. Girls love sex like this. And I'm like, duh. So yeah, just fuck the shit out of your bitch. Like, she is your whore. And I like, she's your whore just for you. I've heard women say this all the time. I want to be a whore for one man. But when you use words like that, people just get their fucking panties in a twist, and they're just too dumb to like understand context and nuance, and you need to like spell things out like they're fucking retarded because they're retarded. But hopefully you are not, and so you can understand what I'm saying. So when it comes to like the lust aspect of a relationship in the bedroom, this isn't just in the bedroom. This is very important for you to understand. That's just one part of it. The bedroom is where the final act takes place, where the sex takes place. Foreplay is happening 24/7 in a relationship or in a marriage. And if you forget this, then you're going to turn sex into like an appointment. Like, oh, it's sex time. No, sex is something, the physical penetration is happening in the bedroom. But sex itself is happening 24/7. A seduction is happening all the time. You're always seducing your girlfriend, or your wife. And if you forget this, the lust thing is going to go down. Right? Lust is created by like three things. Like how sexual you are with her, how sexy you are, which is slightly different, like your mannerisms, your body language, your vibe, your aura. Like, are you a sexy guy? And of course, if you look good or not. Like, I could stand to lose like 10, 15 pounds, right? And I'm just wearing a fucking t-shirt and my hair's not all like done up, right? So I could definitely demonstrate a little bit more of that right now. I'm not the best example in the moment because it's so much easier to just fucking turn on the camera and make videos. But like, if I really want to, I can turn it on, right? Your game, right? You don't lose game when you're in a relationship. This is an idea that even I believed for a long time. It's like, oh, when you're married, you lose your game and you got to keep it polished by sometimes flirting with girls. That's wrong. Like, first of all, it's immoral. Second of all, like, it's just wrong. Like, you can totally practice being more sexy and cool and interesting with your girlfriend. It's a 24/7 practice dummy. Like when you're practicing combos in your MMO or in your fighting game, like you go to the training room and you're just like, yeah, you can practice everything with your girl, right? You can practice like, oh, I want to start being more funny. I'm going to try and start making more jokes. I'll see how she responds. Right? Now, this is an audience who likes you, so obviously she's going to be biased in your favor, but like you're going to start to see like, hey, if I start acting this way and I start acting more masculine, I start trying to like get in touch with my more like stoic masculine energy, how is she going to respond? Is she going to get more horny? Is she going to be more interested, right? I need to be more sexual with her. I'm going to go, I'm going to walk around the house. I'm going to grab her ass. I'm going to kiss her. I'm going to like push her against the wall and like, I don't know, pull down her pants and just start fucking her in the kitchen. Like, you can always become more attractive in a relationship. It's a perfect practice ground or whatever, right? But the lust aspect, the romantic aspect of a relationship is sexuality, like just going for it, touching her, grabbing her ass, kissing her, talking dirty to her. And then there's being sexy, which is like, is your behavior attractive in and of itself? Like, are you just a hot guy, right? And then it's the actual sex itself, right? So, like, being assertive with your sexuality, right, in general, being sexy, and then the final, like, how do you actually perform in bed, right? How do you thrust? How do you fuck? How do you spit? How do you choke? How do you bend her over? Like, yeah. Because the sexuality part is like the escalation to sex, and then the lust, like how sexy are you in general, is just like what's her baseline horniness for you because of how attracted or not attracted to you she is. Does that make sense? So if you're having a problem in your relationship, or if obviously you just want to make your relationship better, because I'm 99% sure you can make a relationship better, you just need to ask what area of the relationship am I having a problem? Because I have a client, for instance, and the friend aspect of the relationship, he's like, yeah, it's great. We're so good at it. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Based on everything you've told me, you're fine. But the lust aspect is what you need to work on. So I'm like, start being rougher in bed. Here's another one. Like, he doesn't stand up for himself a lot, right? Like, he's not the kind of guy who like puts his foot down. And I'm like, this is going to affect her attraction to you. And what's interesting is she's a very interesting woman. Like, she's a very direct and open communicator. And so I told him to like start working on this aspect, like just start standing up for yourself. And she literally tells him verbatim, like, I am more attracted to you now because you are like being more, it's not like she's purposely trying to be a cunt and she's like, you need to stand up to me. You know, like people aren't like these 24/7 automatons of malice, you know, of like shit testing people. That's an idea. That's like an ideology that like red pill and black pill have. People are just like usually running their normal script and then they get interfered by like people's responses and feedback. And so she's probably just like, you know, just being who she is. And then she's noticing, oh, wow, okay, he's standing up for himself. And then she's like noticing that she's getting more attracted to him. And so she gives him that feedback. It's very interesting because not every woman is so open and direct of a communicator because that's how men communicate more. Women are a bit more indirect. So it's interesting for him to get that very direct, clear feedback that she, like, I am more attracted to you. And then obviously the proof is in the pussy because she's, you know, getting hornier for him and telling him outright, like, I'm enjoying our sex life more. So, you know, this is the aspect of like being hot, where it's how you move, how you talk, but also like standing up for yourself because women feel lust for men they respect. And people respect people who stand up for themselves, right? Now, this is an infinitely complex topic, okay? You see how I'm, like, introducing all these, like, random little, like, digressions and little contextual, like, explanations? I could keep going all day, right? Like, what's lust? It's about respect. It's also about, like, just making the move to go for, like, sex, like grabbing her ass or kissing her, is a turn on, if it's accepted, of course, right? It requires a certain level of trust, but obviously you're in a relationship with her and you're married to her. So, you know, but the fact that you do it makes her feel sexy, right? How you talk to her, how you look at her, like these are all little things that you could be doing better. But as a starting place, you can eliminate, you know, more than half of the wrong answers by just asking what fucking aspect am I having trouble in the relationship? So am I having trouble in the intimacy department? Okay, now I've narrowed it down. I need to fix things that increase intimacy. Or it is one of these situations where actually intimacy is fine. I just need to fix the other area because it's blocking our intimacy, which is already good. But there's such a big problem in this other area, it's distracting us from our lust for each other. So you fix the lust category. You fix the leadership category, right? It can mean anything. Like, I need to start pushing to be more successful so that we can live the life that we really want to live and not be like, you know, living paycheck to paycheck and constantly fucking stressed out about things, right? Or, you know, I need to make a better decision of, you know, it could be anything. Like, I noticed that she has a friend in her life who's like a Debbie Downer and a drag. And this friend is like indirectly poisoning our relationship because she makes my girlfriend or wife feel bad because she's a fucking cunt. And so I need to make an executive decision to like tell her like, you need to cut this friend off from your life. Now, this also could be partially a friend thing because that's what you would do for a friend of yours that you cared about. Like if you saw that there was a different friend of yours who was like a negative influence on their life, you would also, you know, recommend that this friend cut them out. But the difference is that because she's your girlfriend and not a male friend of yours, a male friend, you don't want to like order around because men don't like to be ordered around by men unless they have like explicitly taken this person to be like a mentor or something. But because you're in a relationship and you're like the leader, the CEO, you can kind of like make it a CEO problem where you're like, hey, we need to fire this bad employee who's like in our corporation technically because they're like a close friend of hers, so it's impacting our relationship. I'm going to fire this person. And by firing, I mean I'm going to tell my girlfriend or wife like, hey, we're not hanging out with that person anymore. They're a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. Right? This could also be like a leadership problem might be like, I don't know, like there's a guy at her work who likes her and is flirtatious with her. And she's a little bit blind to like his advances. And you know, as a guy, you're like, this guy's trying to fuck her. And she's like, oh, he's just being nice. And I mean this when it's innocent. Like she genuinely isn't aware of his intentions. Now, if this is a situation where she's bullshitting you and she knows and she likes him, well, then you have different problems, right? It's not actually a leadership problem, or it is partially a leadership problem, but it's also a lust problem. Why is she being that attracted to another guy in the first place? Do you see? Like, you can always diagnose and troubleshoot your issues, but you have to do it accurately. But actually, sometimes being the guy who's like okay with your girlfriend having guy friends or spending time with guy friends is just an idiotic decision. It's just dumb. I don't care what the fuck you say, you're wrong. She doesn't have male friends, you don't have female friends. End of story, capiche, done. You're wrong. Oh, you're controlling. Don't give a shit, suck a dick. It's the right way to do things. Extraordinarily tested. Like, I have tested everything. I've been the super okay. Oh, you can't be jealous. Dumb. It's not jealousy. It's called not being a fucking retard and letting snakes and wolves around your farm. Yes, if a girl truly wants to leave and cheat on you, she will. But funnily enough, controlling your land and your farm, I'm not saying she's land, you retard. I'm saying the relationship is the land. And you own it together and operate it together. Controlling the environment that you and your girlfriend or wife are in and doing it well actually creates attraction and lust, okay? Because it's a respectable thing and you respect someone who's like stands up for themselves. And it demonstrates I can trust this person because they don't allow negative influences around. So having a naive, idiotic boyfriend or husband is inherently unattractive because that person is prone to destruction. So you can't trust them. So interconnected, right? So yeah, ask yourself, if I'm having problems, where are they? Are they in the business decisions department, or are they in the lust department, or are they in the friendship department? And then isolate the problem and think of possible solutions. Obviously, if you want to have a answer to every problem, you have to have an extraordinary library of experience and proven answers, right? That's why I do coaching, is because people just don't have that library that I have. And they don't have the problem solving skills of like knowing where the problem is. That's why they pay me, right? So if you are interested in that, by the way, I have space for one more coaching client. I think one would be the max. It would be two, but some of my clients have extended their coaching for one guy just signed on for 2 years. So I think for the next 6 months, I'll have a couple clients expire. I don't know. They might sign up for more. But for the next 6 months, I'm pretty much booked up, except I have probably one more slot open. Otherwise, I'd be too busy, and I don't like to be too busy. I like my free time. So if you're interested in coaching, I highly advise that you sign up soon. Yeah. So figure out where your problem is and fix it there. Yeah. So hope this was informative and helpful, and I'll see you guys soon. Love you.